This is the story of a five-word sentence that fundamentally destroyed the last remaining illusion of Prince Harry's royal relevance. It happened in a packed auditorium on the English-Welsh border at a gathering of literature lovers far removed from the hyper-curated, tightly controlled PR machinery of California. Mike Tindall, former rugby legend husband to Princess Anne's daughter, Zara, and one of the most universally respected members of the British royal inner circle, held a microphone and delivered a masterclass in casual, lethal public humiliation. Speaking about his own wedding back in 2011, Tindall seamlessly shifted the topic to the Duke of Sussex and told a shocked, captivated audience exactly what the family thinks of him today. He said, and I quote, "That was when Harry was fun. What looked like a passing, nostalgic remark was in reality a devastating psychological strike. It was the moment the royal family officially stopped treating Prince Harry as a threat and started treating him as a punchline." In this video, we are going to unpack exactly how this single, seemingly off-the-cuff remark exposes a highly coordinated royal proxy war. We will explore why Mike Tindall is the only person who could deliver this blow, how the palace has silently authorized the complete trivialization of the Duke of Sussex, and why being mocked by your own family is infinitely more damaging to a fragile ego than being hated by them. By the end of this analysis, you will understand the profound shift in the royal strategy and how a series of subtle visual and verbal cues over the last 2 years have systematically boxed Prince Harry into the exact same category of permanent, embarrassing exile as his disgraced uncle Prince Andrew. To truly understand the lethal nature of Tindall's comment, we have to rewind to the era he was deliberately referencing, the year 2011. Before the transatlantic warfare, before the staggering exploitation of private grief, and before the endless, exhausting monetization of victimhood. Back then, Prince Harry was the golden boy of the British monarchy. He was the lovable rogue, the military man who had served on the front lines, and the brother who stood by Prince William's side. He possessed a natural, effortless magnetism that the institution desperately needed. He was not weighed down by the heavy crown of the heir, allowing him to be the relatable, approachable face of a deeply traditional family. The public adored him, the press protected him, and most importantly, his family genuinely loved being around him. He was the life of the party. He was exactly as Tindall described, fun. Reminding the public of this golden era is a calculated move. It forces a brutal side-by-side comparison with the man sitting in a Montecito mansion today. The contrast of schadenfreude is staggering. Today, Harry is widely perceived as a miserable, joyless figure, permanently trapped in a loop of his own historical grievances. His public appearances are highly sanitized, entirely transactional, and steeped in a brand of commercial desperation that has alienated even his most ardent supporters. By pointing out that Harry used to be fun, Tindall was not just reminiscing. He was publicly declaring that the current version of the Duke of Sussex is exhausting, hollow and entirely devoid of the very charm that once made him a global icon. For a man with a famously thin skin and a towering ego, being called miserable by a beloved family member on a public stage is a psychological disaster. It strips away the carefully constructed narrative of the thriving, liberated prince who found freedom in America and exposes the grim reality of a deeply isolated man. This public humiliation did not happen in a vacuum. It is the culmination of a silent, slow-burning estrangement that began years ago. We have to look at the undeniable shift that occurred during the late Queen Elizabeth's Platinum Jubilee in 2022. This was the first major rupture where the public could visually measure the freezing out of the Sussexes. Behind the scenes, the tension was already toxic. According to multiple credible reports, it was during a Buckingham Palace event that weekend when Mike Tindall was overheard referring to Prince Harry using a harsh, one-word English insult. The choice of a highly derogatory slang term for a fool was not just a slip of the tongue by a tough rugby player. It was a reflection of deep-seated moral outrage over how Harry had reportedly treated palace staff, a scandal that still hangs over the Sussexes like a dark cloud. The visual evidence of this collapse played out the very next day at the service of Thanksgiving at St. Paul's Cathedral. The choreography of that morning was a masterclass in silent warfare. As Harry and Meghan walked up the steps, the undeniable sound of boos echoed from the crowd, a public rejection that shattered their manufactured image of universal victimhood. Inside the cathedral, the seating arrangement spoke volumes, but it was the interaction outside that provided the most devastating psychological clue. Zara Tindall, ever the diplomat, stood between Harry and her husband, acting as a human buffer. She offered polite, strained conversation to the Sussexes. Beside her, Mike Tindall stood completely stone-faced, staring off into the distance, aggressively avoiding even a second of eye contact with Harry. This untouched, frozen posture was not accidental. It was a deliberate, hyper-visible boundary. Days later, Tindall twisted the knife further. Speaking on his own podcast about the Jubilee weekend, he mentioned a private, off-camera cousins' lunch. He described it as one of the absolute highlights of the week, a brilliant, outstanding gathering of the family. He made sure the public knew precisely why it was so enjoyable. It was because Harry and Meghan were not there. This pattern of behavior proves that Tindall is not acting on spontaneous emotion. He has been systematically dismantling the Sussexes' remaining dignity for years. And this brings us to the most crucial element of this entire saga. The invisible hand of Buckingham Palace. Mike Tindall is a highly intelligent man. He is entirely devoted to his wife, deeply respectful of the institution, and fully aware of the consequences of speaking out of turn. He knows that his access, his lifestyle, and his family's peace depend on maintaining harmony with King Charles and Prince William. There is absolutely no universe in which Mike Tindall grabs a microphone at a major public festival and publicly mocks the king's son without knowing, with absolute certainty, that he has the palace's blessing to do so. This is a coordinated proxy war. Buckingham Palace operates on a policy of never complain, never explain. The king cannot publicly insult his son. The Prince of Wales cannot be seen rolling in the mud with his estranged brother. It would diminish the crown. But Mike Tindall is the perfect weapon. He is an outsider who married in. He is a civilian, an athlete, a man of the people. He has an agency and an independent voice that the senior working royals simply do not possess. By allowing Tindall to openly mock Harry, the palace is sending a devastatingly clear message. They are no longer afraid of what Harry might say in a book or an interview. They are no longer walking on eggshells. They are on board with calling out the glaring double standards and putting an end to the hostage situation Harry tried to create. The ultimate insult for a narcissist is not anger. It is mockery. It is being laughed at. And Tindall's remarks signify that the royal family has collectively decided that Harry is no longer a serious threat. He has been downgraded. This downgrade is mirrored in how Tindall treats another famously exiled royal. During the same public appearance, Tindall casually joked about Prince Andrew, mocking the fact that Andrew is still clinging to his residence at the Royal Lodge. Tindall joked that he has a permanent spare bedroom at Buckingham Palace, specifically noting it is at the opposite end of the building from Andrew. It was a hilarious, sharp-witted quip, but the underlying truth is what makes it so lethal for Harry. By mocking Harry and Andrew in the exact same breath, in the exact same tone, Tindall firmly placed Harry in the exact same category. The category of the embarrassing relative, the black sheep, the uncle you hide away and joke about when the cameras are off. Harry has spent years trying to position himself as a global thought leader, an exiled king of compassion. Instead, his own family has publicly filed him away next to a disgraced pariah. The walls are closing in on the Montecito narrative. The commercial desperation is becoming impossible to ignore, and the realization of this total isolation is beginning to leak into the public consciousness. The late-night talk show hosts who once championed them are now writing punchlines about their privacy tours. Progressive, left-leaning publications that once defended their every move are now publishing brutal columns exposing them as hollow grifters. There is no team left to defend them, there is no fan base ready to mobilize, and now the ultimate betrayal from their perspective has materialized. The royal family is not just ignoring them, they are actively publicly laughing at them. As the news of Mike Tindall's 5-word execution travels across the Atlantic and lands on the perfectly manicured desks in California, one terrifying reality is about to set in for the Duke of Sussex. A line has been permanently crossed, and a retaliation from the palace has been set into motion that no PR team in Hollywood can possibly fix. To understand the absolute panic that Mike Tindall's remarks will have triggered inside that Montecito mansion, you have to understand the fundamental currency of the Sussex brand. For the last 4 years, Harry and Meghan's entire commercial empire has been built on one single premise. They were the ultimate threat to the British monarchy. They were the whistleblowers, the truth-tellers, the exiled royals who possessed enough explosive secrets to bring a 1,000-year-old institution to its knees. That perceived power was the only reason streaming giants handed them millions and publishers offered massive book deals. But Tindall's 5-word dismissal shatters that illusion entirely. By publicly laughing at Harry, the palace is utilizing the most devastating PR strategy imaginable. They have weaponized apathy. They are demonstrating to the world and to Hollywood executives that Prince Harry is no longer dangerous. He is just irrelevant. When your entire identity is wrapped up in being a high-stakes victim, realizing that your alleged abusers find you amusing is a psychological abyss. For Harry, the internal crisis this sparks must be staggering. He has spent his entire life defined by his relationship to his family, even when he was attacking them. He craved their apologies, he demanded accountability, and he wanted them to feel the agonizing weight of his absence. Instead, they are having outstanding cousins' lunches without him and making jokes at literary festivals. The chilling reality settling in over California is that the royal family has successfully moved on. King Charles has his reign, Prince William is cementing his future, and the working royals have closed ranks. Harry is standing on the outside of the fortress, throwing stones at walls that no longer echo. This realization places an immense, almost suffocating pressure on the dynamics within the Sussex marriage. As the royal fairy tale crumbles, the commercial desperation becomes painfully transparent. We are witnessing a jarring pivot where the couple is desperately trying to rebrand from global philanthropists to lifestyle influencers. The visual humiliation of launching artisan jams or staging awkward polo documentaries while the actual royal family commands global state events is a moral contradiction that viewers cannot ignore. Behind closed doors, this shifting landscape creates a deep internal divide. Harry is a man fundamentally obsessed with looking backward, entirely consumed by his legal battles and his unresolved royal trauma. Meghan, conversely, appears laser-focused on Hollywood survival, attempting to forge an independent commercial path that no longer relies on her husband's diminishing royal capital. Tindall's mockery only accelerates this divide. It serves as a brutal reminder to Meghan's PR team that attaching her brand to a man his own family openly considers a laughingstock is a toxic business strategy. What we are witnessing is the permanent calcification of a family rift. There will be no grand reconciliation. There will be no tearful reunion at Sandringham. When a family member like Mike Tindall, who is notoriously loyal, protective and closely aligned with the Prince and Princess of Wales, feels comfortable publicly dismantling Harry's dignity, it means the emotional bridge has been entirely burned. The royal family has realized that every olive branch offered in private has been monetized by the Sussexes in public. The response, therefore, is absolute emotional severance. They have cut off the oxygen of drama that Harry so desperately needs to stay relevant. By replacing outrage with mockery, the palace has effectively neutralized him. This story resonates so deeply with the public because it is no longer just about the British monarchy. It is a modern Shakespearean tragedy about the illusion of power and the devastating consequences of hubris. We have all watched someone burn their life down, convinced they were the hero of the story, only to realize years later that they were the architect of their own isolation. Viewers are fascinated by the sheer scale of the miscalculation. Prince Harry traded universal adoration, a lifetime of protected privilege, and a family that genuinely loved him for a fleeting moment of Californian celebrity and a hollow narrative of victimhood. Now the applause has stopped, the streaming deals are drying up, and the people he left behind are standing on a stage, reminding the world of the man he used to be. The tragedy of Prince Harry is not that he left the royal family. The tragedy is that he left, demanded the world treat him as a titan of moral authority, and slowly revealed himself to be a deeply wounded, intensely bitter man who cannot move forward. Mike Tindall did not destroy Prince Harry. He simply held up a mirror to the reality that Harry built for himself. The fun is gone. The golden era is dead. And all that remains is the echoing laughter of a family that has finally learned how to live without him. Thank you for watching this deep dive into the psychological warfare of the royal family. If you found this analysis insightful, make sure to subscribe and leave your thoughts on Mike Tindall's remarks below. We will see you in the next breakdown.